Morning, morning. Walking the dog, as ever. I've talked about this subject quite a bit, and again, like everything, we seem to talk about the same subjects on repeat in this country, and the government never fixes anything, so we then come into another year and we're just talking about the same stuff. But listening to Wes Streeting on Talk Radio this morning, I just don't think he really knows much about health, which is part of the reason we're in this problem where we have government ministers in positions of power leading topics that they have no knowledge on. So he was talking about obesity, childhood obesity again, and looking at reducing calories of our grocery basket. And as ever, I find increasingly with today's governments, they always jump for the quick fixes, the jabs, and the kind of fake foods, diet foods, which anyone in nutrition knows are generally, are worse for you than the full fat versions. And I always go back to my grandparents who were very lucky. They were farmers. In the 50s and 60s and 70s, and they would have their own eggs, their own milk, not their own meat, but everything they bought was local, seasonal, and whole foods. Most of their meals were meat and dairy, vegetables, a little fruit, not a lot, and often homemade bread, homemade cakes, and as sweets, they didn't have many of those, but they did like boiled sweets, the odd toffee, the odd licorice, but that was kind of it. And that is where we need to go back to, eating local, eating seasonal, supporting our farmers, and having foods in our supermarkets that have a maximum of, 4 ingredients maximum. We shouldn't have diet foods because people eat more of them. They don't satiate you, and they tend to be full of alternative rubbish to make the mouth feel good like it would do if it was full fat. So, it's not very difficult. And then the big difference again is the fact, like my grandparents, people moved more. They didn't have dishwashers or washing machines as much. They would do everything manually. They wouldn't be sat on the sofa using a remote control. If they watched TV, they would get up and switch it off, change the channel every few minutes. People were out and about more. But the main thing that I just see the difference is the amount of foods we have now that have an extortionate amount of ingredients on them. And that, for me, is the reason we're seeing obesity more than anything. And again, get schools to do more PE, more physical education. They should be doing PE 3 times a week. Get it into their psyche at a really young age, like I was taught. And then you never lose that love for fitness. And it just has so many benefits, from helping kids concentrate in class, getting rid of aggression, helping bonding, team spirit, kind of self-belief, self-love, self-motivation, competitive spirit. All of these things, it's got so many benefits. So again, like everything, it's not rocket science. Eat foods that have had little done to them, little manipulation, which is the idea of fake meat by Bill Gates, mass produced in big factories, is an abomination. And move your body more. And that's kind of it. But again, we have a government and people like Wes Streeting who just run to the latest jab with knowing no knowledge about it, having no kind of history and background of safety. And they're still pushing it, even though I think over 100 people have died from it, and there's so many extreme repercussions from the fat jab. It's always quick fixes, never getting to the actual source of the problem and instilling positive changes. It's always regressive. And it's always things that these government advisors really have very little knowledge and information on. So like ever, I think a lot of our problems would be solved if we just go back to how we used to do them. Yeah, not rocket science. Eat good food, move more.